as a staff, our aim is to know and nurture children so that they develop in confidence and character. So our aim is not that they get the best exam results. They do very well, but that's as a consequence of building their confidence. And we build their confidence by knowing individuals and nurturing individuals, and I think the scale of the school helps to encourage that. We're not a golf school, we are a regular school, and academic work is always the first priority.
Welcome. So today we are visiting Loretto School. I'm here with Rachel Hody and Mr. Dr. Graham Hody. Thank you for the invitation.
Welcome, lovely to see you.
Thank you. We just saw a little bit of Loretto, and it was so impressive, and as well all the facilities.
Well, Graham and I have been fortunate enough to be working in schools like Loretto for just over 25 years, and we have loved every minute of it, and probably this is our favourite place to be, and we've always done it together. Graham's the headmaster, but we've done it as a family, as a couple, just because so many of our pupils are actually boarding. So it feels natural that they're coming into our family, and in many families there's a mum and a dad. We've got 2 children of our own at university now, but we always said we had 2 children in holiday time, but in term time we have sort of 400 children. And we really do try and get to know the children and the families, and that's why we really love it when families come and visit and actually come here, and we get to know the whole family rather than just the child.
Perhaps the 2 strongest features of Loretto are its size and its location. So we're a small school. In the senior school we have round about 380 pupils from age 12 to age 18, and the scale means that everybody knows each other well, so you can't be lost in a school like Loretto. Pupils know all the other pupils well, and staff know every child really well. And then our location. We think that Edinburgh is the UK's #1 city, and I'm originally from London myself, but Edinburgh is everything that you'd want in a city. It's compact, the air and the communications are very good, the architecture's lovely, and the cultural opportunities are first class. And you're also quickly out of Edinburgh, so we're on the eastern side, so we get into Edinburgh very quickly, and then we have the East Lothian coastline and a very rural landscape close by. We're really fortunate to have a number of German students. We have students from over nearly 30 different countries, and I think that's helpful because it means that we don't have too many from any one individual country, so the common language spoken amongst everyone is English. But we love our German families. The students are always very good, they study hard. Some come to play golf as well as to study, but they come from great families and we love them.
I think one of the things the German children love about Loretto is that it's not just lessons, so they become part of this community where they're really well known. And I think they love our assemblies and our chapel services where we gather as a school, and there's a lot of praise for what's going on, whether it's a sports team victory or talking about a school play or debating, and this coming together and celebrating regularly through the week, singing together and being a whole school. I sometimes get the impression that there isn't quite as much coming together in the schools that they come from, and certainly not being together all day and all night. Actually, there are some lovely families represented at Loretto.
Yes.
So we have all these lovely children, and they've come from somewhere, they've come from these lovely families. And a lot of German children would have the opportunity to be invited to go and stay with local children. That happens quite a lot. And where you see those friendships blossoming, that's when children don't really want to go home, they want to stay.
And I think the other aspect is the small class sizes that we have. So typically at GCSE level, up to age 16, there may be somewhere between 12 and 18 students in a class. And then at A level, perhaps more like 8, 9 or 10. And I think some children who perhaps found school hard in Germany because perhaps they were not quite so engaged, actually find the whole school experience here just more fulfilling, and therefore they do better. So I think anyone who knows the game of golf knows that it can be quite time consuming, and school obviously is time consuming as well. So sometimes you have these two different activities, golf and education, and they compete for time. And I think what we're able to do at Loretto is to mesh, to combine them together to make it a really efficient process. So we have 4 of our own PGA, Professional Golf Association professionals. We employ them, they're on our staff, and that allows us to do the teaching and the organisation and the playing within the school week. So if we have a sixth former, for example, who has a study period 1 on a Monday morning, we can say, right, that is the time for your one-to-one lesson. So we don't have to waste time. We can be really efficient at integrating their golf tuition with their education. We're not a golf school, we are a regular school, and academic work is always the first priority. But more importantly, I think for our current children, there are a lot of very good golf courses within easy access of the school. And then for the last 5 years, we've had a really terrific facility, our indoor golf school, and that allows tuition with TrackMan and all the technology. There's a bunker facility, effectively an indoor driving range. So that means that even in the winter, when the daylight goes relatively early, and if the weather's not very good, there's always a first-class opportunity to practice. So I think it's one of the things that we do really, really well. It does attract golfers from the rest of the UK, from all over Europe, and increasingly from other countries as well. And the Golf Academy is almost a family within a family, and they go off and play as teams and have a lot of national success. So it's something that's popular. Doesn't help my game, unfortunately. I like playing, but I play a very different game from our good young golfers. But it's great for them to have lots of other golfers. In some schools it's a bit of a minority sport and they're on their own. Here it's very much mainstream.
I think when children come to Loretto, one of the things that strikes them when they first look around the school is suddenly they'll see 12 golf bags all together, and children have just left their golf bags. And maybe in their previous school they were the only one. So it's very normal to be playing tournaments, and then when we have our assemblies and we're celebrating achievements, celebrating golf is just part and parcel of school life. And the thing the parents love about Loretto Golf is that they no longer have to take their children to tournaments, they don't have to take them to training. We have our own fleet of minibuses, and the children, let's say, have their lessons in the morning. They might have school lunch, and then the school takes them to the golf course, and then the school brings them back. And for many a parent, that's a great freedom, and just this camaraderie, boys, girls, playing golf of all ages. And our top team, it's all on merit. You don't have to be one of the oldest. You could be really young and be in the first 6. You can be a boy or a girl. And there are different competitions for different types of golfers, so everybody gets their turn.
Okay, great. And how many percentage of the senior students play golf here at Loretto?
So within the Golf Academy, there'll be around 50 golfers out of 370. So again, it emphasises that we're not a golf school. Those who enjoy playing golf get really great opportunities, but it doesn't dominate what we do. The academic programme is the most important thing. But we do have golfers increasingly who their next step is to go to America on golf scholarships, and that they really want to take their golf to a high level. So I think by having the professional golf staff, an indoor facility, great local courses, and then a 6 or 7 day week, it just allows us to fit everything in.
Whenever we meet families, particularly if they're from abroad, you will say to them, yes, you might be good at this one thing, hockey or golf, but please, this is your opportunity to try lots of other new things. And one of those things is definitely theatre, drama, debating. And so it always brings us so much pleasure when you go and watch a play, and let's say a German girl is in the play with a speaking part and completely holding her own, joining in with debating, and certainly the level of English of many German children is such that, yes, they can do that. They can join in with Model United Nations, which is political debating, and they have another perspective. And we still, in Scotland, really value our European neighbours, definitely.
So there's a whole range of different activities, from sport, music, drama, so quite unusual sports. We have a game called Fives, where you hit a ball against the wall with a gloved hand. But the children, I think, who thrive best are those who are prepared to have a go at new things. So the strength, I think, of all UK boarding schools are the broad range of activities. But of course, you can have hundreds and hundreds of activities. What matters is being prepared to have a go. And I think that's again where the scale of our school helps. We've worked in certainly one large school in England, and it was very successful. What we found there was you needed to be very good at a particular activity, whether it was sport or music or debating, in order to really have a go. In a small school, you want and you need anyone who is interested to be involved. And I think that encourages children to get involved, and there's not that fear of failure. I think the sort of family atmosphere of the school welcomes everyone to try something. So children have drama as part of the curriculum, so it is a taught class for them, so that's one element of it. And then there is drama as a co-curricular activity, and that gives children who wish to the opportunity to perform in a range of plays. Obviously in COVID there's not been very much, but there's still been a lot of creativity, and we've had some groups who have performed a play, so they've filmed their own parts at home and then they've been combined to give an overall play, which was very creative. But we have our own theatre at Loretto, and that's a professional grade theatre with all the LED lighting, and so the opportunity there to perform is there, and it's popular amongst many of our students. And then we also have the Lambda scheme, which is a series of essentially exams which allow children to again develop skills in monologues and duologues, really performing small little sketches, like mini plays. And that's again a great vehicle for developing self-confidence and presentational skills.
And also under the umbrella of performing arts, so we have Lambda, we do plays for different age groups, but also dance is really popular at Loretto, probably more so than we've seen in any other school. There's a dance studio. I'd have to say that it's most popular with the girls, but it's not impossible for boys to join in. And there's a whole host of different styles of dance that are taught here during the activities programme, from ballet to traditional Scottish dancing and modern dancing. And then we would have shows twice a year with dancing, and that would also include our junior school with children from about age 5. So that's an area of performance that many children really enjoy. It's very active. And you may not enjoy sport, but you may love dancing. I mean, you can do both. But a lot of our plays happen. The children love singing and dancing, so often we put on musicals.
So I think structure is a really important element of school, and yeah, we can relate with our son ourselves, who I think needed the structure to really thrive. And I think what works well in schools like this is that it's not all about academic work. So we have academic work on 6 days a week, and most children are used to it in 5 days. But we're not cramming more lessons into that time. What we do is we're spreading them out over more time so that we can have more sport every day and more drama every day, and really, in a sense, slightly dilute the more formal part of school. Because I think for most children to really thrive, they've got to enjoy the experience. And if you're faced with a day of just learning in the classroom for 6 or 7 hours, that's not going to be very attractive. But if you know you've got lots of elements of school that you do enjoy, then that structure really helps you. And I think, as we said earlier, with homework in the boarding houses, knowing that you all do it at the same time, you're not thinking, well, I wonder what my friend is doing, they may be watching television or playing a game. Everyone does it together, and then everyone finishes it together, and then you have that free time together.
And the day is also punctuated. The academic lessons are split up. That might be everybody coming together in the chapel to watch something, to do something, to listen. Certainly eating and coming together for meals is significant every day, and the food is good, and the children are encouraged to sit and make conversation. We eat together, children and staff. So that's another thing that breaks up the day, and certainly when the timetable is built, it's always looking to add physical activity in every day, because we recognise, well, we're all the same. If you have to sit in a conference all day, you get tired. You just need to break it up with things that are interesting all the time. And certainly there's not a lot of free time in a day. That's a good thing. So the free time happens, so lessons would finish, then there are activities that the children choose from, and then it's the evening meal, and there's some free time after the evening meal before the prep, the homework starts all together. And then after the homework, there's that chance to play some sport or do what they want to do. And they go to bed really tired because they've had such a full day, and there's never this thought, oh, what am I going to do next? It's there, that structure is there, and so many children benefit from that, don't they?
And I think the other element in small classes is that the children are engaged with their learning. So it's not as if, perhaps if they're in a big class where they just have to sit and listen. So our science classes, They do a lot of practical work. They do experiments in the laboratories. In a drama class, there'll be small groups and they'll be performing and listening to each other and giving their own viewpoints. So I think the style of learning is engaging, and that's what we want it to be. And I think all those things together, the structure, the small classes, the engagement, we do often hear that children are very different when they've spent some time here. So we've had children who parents would say, well, they don't really enjoy school and they've spent some time here, and actually school has been such a different experience here that they actually do enjoy it. Do you want to talk about the girls' boarding houses?
I often go and spend time in girls' boarding houses at the weekend or in the evenings and see the girls relaxed, I suppose. And after their supper, they'd come into the boarding house, a little bit of free time before homework starts. And then after that homework time, there are often organised activities that the girls will enjoy. There can be quizzes. I even played bingo with them last week. Things to do with food, volleyball tournaments. And certainly in the younger years, the girls are encouraged to join in, whether they feel like it or not, because that's the way they're going to have fun and get to know people. The younger years, year 9, year 10, they will be sharing a room, normally in a pair or sometimes a 3. But when they come into our 5th form, year 11, that's when they'd have their own room. It's an exam year, and so there's a greater focus to be independent, I suppose. And certainly in 6th form, the girls would have their own rooms. And I'd say each boarding house, although it's following the same timetable, has its own feel according to the house mistress, the housemaster. Many of them actually have a dog, which children love. The dog is often outside, but it just adds to this family atmosphere.
The boys' boarding house is obviously separate from the girls. We're going to be building a new boarding house shortly, which is very exciting. But again, for the younger children, they will be in small groups. And the youngest years 4, and then down to 2, and then down to single rooms. And again, certainly for the younger years, encouraging the children to mix is a good thing for them. One of the boarding houses is in this building, so that dates back to the 15th century. So the rooms here are quite quirky in some respects, but they're popular because there's so much history. But I think the most important thing in any boarding house is the friends around you and the importance of your housemaster and housemistress. And I would say again, given that we're a small school, the scale of our boarding houses are smaller than perhaps in some schools. So it's not unusual to have a boarding house of 30 or 35 children. And again, the housemaster and housemistress can get to know the individual really well that way.
I think the housemaster, the tutor, all the adults involved in this child's life, let's call him Max, because there are quite a few German Maxes I've discovered. Everybody is looking to see what does Max enjoy doing, to find something, and whether it's joining in with some football or being part of a trip, maybe they like walking, and just trying to find that thing that then as adults we can talk to them about it and introduce them to other children who also like that. And I think one of the things we do, and housemasters, housemistresses do, because we know all the other children so well, when we meet a child, in fact when we meet a family often visiting, we already can imagine who some of the children they will really get on with are, because we know the other children. And I think mentally when we meet a child and their family, we are thinking, right, who's in that year group? Who would be a good person to be their buddy, the special friend when they first arrive? so that they're not on their own. And if we choose that carefully, that is a wonderful way to make those first few days and weeks go well. And I think if those first few days and weeks go well, that's such a help for the young person, and then obviously for their family, because if the child isn't happy, then mum will be worried, and then dad will hear about it, and it's not good. But we try and make a sort of positive cycle that as soon as we get the child happy, everything will flow from that. So happiness before, dare I say it, academic work in those first few days, just finding their feet.
So we give as much support as a child will need. So we have assessment tests in order to be offered a place at a school. And the reason we have those tests is to ensure that an individual child can access the curriculum. Because what I would never want to do is have a child here who was not able to flourish. I wouldn't want to set anyone up to fail, so that's the reason for having the assessments. If they're able to access the curriculum, then we will provide the support that they will need, that some may need, in order to thrive. Because we know that there are some children who are hugely intelligent, they're very bright, but they may be dyslexic, or maybe their level of English means that it's just going to take them a little bit longer. So a lot of our overseas children will have English as a second language. They'll have dedicated classes for those in small groups, often in twos or threes. For those with other learning support needs, perhaps they're dyslexic or dyspraxic, again, we have a department that is able to fully support them.
And we teach children to do the IELTS exam, and they are always very successful, and that's they take their exams here at the school, and obviously if they want to go on to a British university, that they need that test. And we always say we wish that all of our British students also have to do that test. It's very demanding for reading, writing, speaking and listening, but the levels of English they reach in that assessment are really high. So I would say that our international students work really hard for that exam, as well as their A-levels in the sixth form. So they do work hard for that, but it pays off in all the areas of their school lives.
As a staff, our aim is to know and nurture children so that they develop in confidence and character. So our aim is not that they get the best exam results. They do very well, but that's as a consequence of building their confidence. And we build their confidence by knowing individuals and nurturing individuals. And I think the scale of the school helps to encourage that. But the focus, I think you made a very good point, Martin, at the beginning. How do we build confidence? And if there was one quality I could give to all pupils as they go through the school is self-confidence. I value that higher than pure academic success, because I think we all know that in the lives that they'll be facing, they'll probably do 2 or 3 different careers. They may need to upskill, they may need to retrain, they may do careers that haven't yet been discovered. What they need to have is that confidence to think, yes, I can do that, I can work with other people, I can teach myself, I've got that independence. So it's so crucial that we don't have a narrow focus on just being good at academic subjects and getting good exam results. It's building the confidence that then everything else flows as a result of that.
Perfect. So I think thank you so much for your time and for the interview. And yeah, I'm looking forward.
Thank you for asking good questions.